You know, every so often in sports, one single player comes along and just changes everything for a club. Today, we're talking about the man who was the architect of a true sporting empire. This is the story of Alfredo Di Stéfano and how he gave birth to the legend of Real Madrid.
It's a question we always ask, right? How does a dynasty, a real sporting empire, even begin? Is it about having a grand vision or just pure ambition? Or does it all come down to that one pivotal talent showing up at just the right time? Well, in the case of Real Madrid, it was all three, colliding in a perfect storm that would change football forever. Let's dive in.
So before Real Madrid became, well, Real Madrid, the undisputed kings of Europe, they were a club with a dream.
Look, in the early 1950s, they were a respected club in Spain, for sure. They were winning La Liga titles, grabbing the Copa del Rey. But on the European stage, they just weren't the titans we know today. They were a strong team at home, but the continent was a whole different ballgame.
And this is where everything starts to change. The club president, Santiago Bernabeu, he wasn't just some suit. He was a revolutionary. He had this incredible vision that to conquer Europe, he needed to build a team of superstars, literally signing the best talent from all over the world. And he had one man in particular in his sights.
This wasn't just a simple transfer. Oh no. What followed was a complete saga, a bitter tug-of-war that would literally redirect the entire flow of football history.
The target was Alfredo Di Stéfano. They called him the Blond Arrow. And trust me, he was an absolute phenomenon. Playing in Colombia at the time, his talent was so obvious that Spain's two giants, Real Madrid and Barcelona, both decided they had to have him. He wasn't just a goal scorer. He was what we'd call a total footballer, influencing the game on every blade of grass.
And this is where things get just completely chaotic. Barcelona makes a deal with River Plate, who technically held his registration, but at the exact same time Real Madrid is negotiating with Millonarios, the club he was actually playing for. So what happens? Total deadlock. FIFA has to step in, and their solution was just bizarre. They ruled he had to play alternating seasons for each club, 1 year for Barca, the next for Madrid. I mean, can you even imagine that happening today?
Well, that idea of sharing a player was just too much for Barcelona. Their president actually resigned in protest, and the club, totally exhausted by the whole fight, ended up selling their half of the rights to Real Madrid. And just like that, the battle was over. The Blond Arrow was heading to the capital for good.
So, with Di Stéfano finally in that iconic white kit, Bernabeu's vision wasn't just some far-off dream anymore. It was about to become a reality, and the whole of Europe was its stage.
And let me tell you, the impact was immediate. This wasn't some slow build-up, it was an absolute explosion. Di Stéfano's arrival was the spark that turned Real Madrid into a continental juggernaut, pretty much overnight.
5. I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. 5 European Cups in a row, the very first 5 in the history of the competition. It's a record that's never been matched, and honestly, it probably never will be. It's what put Real Madrid at the very top of world football.
From 1956 to 1960, they were just on another level. Unstoppable. They beat the champions of France, then Italy, then France again, and it all led up to what a lot of people say is one of the greatest matches ever played, the 1960 final, where they just dismantled Eintracht Frankfurt 7-3.
And this was the team that started it all. These are the 11 guys who stepped onto the pitch in Paris for that very first European Cup final. You had legends like Francisco Gento and the captain, Miguel Munoz, and right there in the middle of it all was Alfredo Di Stéfano. He wasn't just a forward, he was the team's heartbeat, its brain and its engine, all rolled into one.
But here's the really wild part. It wasn't just that the team won, it's how they won. Di Stéfano didn't just play in those finals, he absolutely dominated them. He scored in every single one of those 5 finals. Think about that. He was everywhere, making a tackle in his own box 1 minute, creating a chance the next, and then scoring the goal that mattered most. That record of performing in the biggest moments, it's completely unmatched.
Look, winning trophies is one thing, but what Di Stéfano and that incredible team built was something far more lasting. They built an identity.
This is what they became, the Kings of Europe. And that wasn't just a cool nickname. It was a reputation they earned through pure, uncut dominance. This 5-year reign created the whole aura, the expectation, the entire mythology that still surrounds Real Madrid today.
And yeah, the numbers, they're just staggering. They really speak for themselves. 308 goals in under 400 games is incredible. But it's the whole package that's so amazing.
You have the individual brilliance, he won 2 Ballon d'Or awards, and it translated directly into unmatched team success with those 5 European Cups.
And that right there, that's the real legacy. Every single Real Madrid team since then has played under the shadow of what these guys accomplished. That expectation to win the Champions League every year, that belief in impossible comebacks, that whole winning DNA they talk about, it was all forged right here, in the fire of those 5 historic victories, all led by one man.
Which, it all leaves us with this one final fascinating question. In today's game, with billion-dollar squads in globalized football, is it even possible for one player to show up at a club and completely change its destiny like this? Or was Alfredo Di Stéfano a true one of one? The man who didn't just play for a dynasty, but actually built it from the ground up.